It's the Patrick Netherton Show right here on 1130 The Tiger, 103.3 FM. Joining us now on the phone, Northwestern State legend who's become a softball coaching legend, from football tight end to softball coach, a journey that you've seen it hundreds of times. He is Glenn Moore, the head coach of the Baylor softball squad, coming in to play Northwestern State in Natchitoches tonight. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's great to be here. I'm on Front Street out here and cars passing me by left and right. I hope I found a place that's quiet enough.
Hey, you're fine, man. Front Street. Look, if you know Natchitoches, you were a Northwestern State grad. You spent a lot of time there. Obviously, you got a kid that's going there. So, look, you take all the time on Front Street you need, brother. We understand that.
Coming back home is always nice. Beautiful place, and yeah, it's a lot of ties. My wife's from here, and spent a lot of years here. So, yep, enjoying being back home.
Yeah, let's. So, first of all, before we get into the background and Natchitoches and all that, how did this game come about? You coming back to Northwestern State? Baylor has played at NSU. You've played at NSU, but it's been a while. How did this particular game come about?
I come back over here. I try to come back over here every 4 or 5 years. Just coming back home is important to me. But I've also Donald Pickett would always come over and play us in the fall, and of course I've got a former player over here now, and just kind of pay back for Northwestern coming over to Waco and playing us at Baylor, and not hard to get me to come back over here for some gumbo or see the family and visit the campus in the city. You're
so intertwined with Northwestern State. You mentioned your wife, who was a record-setting high jumper. Your son is now playing on the football team, and he's also helping out on the softball team as a kind of a student assistant. Like, it's got to be such an interesting thing for you to be so intertwined with a place that you don't necessarily live or work these days.
Yeah. My heart's here. I fell in love with this place pretty quick after coming here. Met my wife to be on my first day on campus here. Went to Westside Baptist Church. My mom said go to church and find a church. And following her guidance, Steve Pizan, a friend of mine, and I came to school together over here. He was my ride. I didn't have a vehicle, so I was with him, and we found the church to go to. And that night she walked in and told him I was going to marry her, and then she was with her twin sister, and he said, "Which one?" I said, "I don't care. They look the same," and ended up with Janice.
Whichever one says yes.
That's right. And, of course, got my start over here. Coach Ricky McAllister, gave me an opportunity to help out apart from football with his pitchers, and that got my foot in the softball door. And man, it's exciting to see Ty kind of doing the same thing. Jenny and Brad and Fuller are allowing him to help out there and work with their team a little bit. So that's kind of cool to see him here, number one, and then also kind of doing exactly what I did at the same spot.
Yeah, it's such a neat story. Ty Moore is wide receiver on the football team, and as you mentioned, now getting involved with softball. Does he seem to have? Is he gonna legitimately follow in your footsteps? Does it feel like he's gonna play football and then become a softball coach, or does he even know yet what he wants to do?
Yeah, his plans are to help Coach McCorkle out as a GA after football, and I think that's what his desire is as of this time. But who knows what the good Lord has in mind for him? And I don't know which way. I'm not pushing him either way. But Jenny has enjoyed him working with him. I'm proud that they're opening their door to letting him get a taste of what it's been like, what it's like to be a coach on the college level. I know he's spent his whole life on a bus traveling around the country and giving me advice. So it's now it's time for him to get some advice from another coach.
There you go. That makes perfect sense. Speaking of Jenny, right? She pitched for you for a couple of years, coming out of junior college and joining you at Baylor. She was very successful when she was there. Jenny Isham at the time, now Jenny Fuller. What's that like to? I mean, I know you've coached against former players before. It's not like this is a unique thing, but what is that like when you look across in the other dugout and it's someone that you had a hand in helping develop and getting where they are?
I don't know if I can describe how proud I am when I see that. And earlier playing University of Memphis, watching them play. Trina Peel played for me at LSU, so or Prater now. But having two coaches. Went to a high school game this year at a three-team tournament, and all three teams had coaches. One team had three coaches. All three played for me. But number one, it shows you how old I am now to have that many kids that played for me now. Now coaching somewhere else, but having Jenny come here to Northwestern State and be a part of this program here, or lead this program, just makes me swell with pride. And I sit there on the edge of my seats cheering for her all the time. I know she's going to do a great job, but man, I just I'm so proud. You if you coach for the right reasons, Patrick, I think you coach to see these kids have success in life, and really Jenny is one of those that you knew from the get-go. She's an incredible competitor, and she's going to be successful at whatever she does, and it's going to take her a little time here, but she's well on her way.
Yeah, and doing it kind of building from the ground up. They're the youngest team in America this year, and their only upperclassman has got a concussion right now. So it's a lot of youth.
Right.
You've been there before. You've had newer teams kind of reloading, that sort of stuff. I'm curious, how much do any of your former players come back, call, text, looking for advice? How do you handle this situation? Is that a situation where you hope that you've taught them enough so they can kind of go out and figure it out on their own, or do you get a lot of your former players that hit you up for advice on certain circumstances?
That's the joy of where I am right now in my career, is whenever they do feel the need to call and ask my advice. And fortunately, I do have quite a few that are out there in the coaching world, and I get the advice from them because, they might need some from me, and hopefully I'm able to provide that. Hopefully I prepared them for some of the challenges they're having in their life. But, it's a different age, new generations, and how to coach these kids is completely different than what, the way I cut my teeth. So they give me advice as well. So it comes full circle, but I swell up with pride whenever that phone rings, and try to stay in touch with most of them. I got most of their birthdays in my phone, so I at least shoot them a happy birthday once a year, and then they know my door's always open, phone's always there if they need to call, and I hear from quite a few, and I enjoy that. The highlight of what I do right now is being able to, walk with them through the early stages of their career.
Well, the good news for you is you can at least. It's easy to remember Jenny's birthday and Brad's birthday because they're the same day. So you can just send a group birthday text to Jenny and Brad because they were born on the same day. I'm talking to Glenn Moore, the head coach of the Baylor softball squad. You mentioned differences in coaching these days, and obviously I'm looking on your roster page, getting ready for the game today. And there's a little money icon, right? And you click on that, and it's a way to donate to the NIL collective, or have a player you can sponsor, that sort of thing. Obviously, the transfer portal, and again, I try to remind everyone, it's not the portal that's new; it's the freedom of movement that's new. The not having to sit out a year when you transfer from Division I to Division I. For an old dog, what's that like navigating the new world of college athletics?
Well, I don't think you'd find too many old dogs that like it, and especially whenever you tie in the money and the purchasing players. We've seen teams go from being completely not relevant to top 10, top 15 teams, but because they purchased a pitcher or two, and that's just not the way I grew up. Like I said, I didn't train myself. I don't remember one Johnny Emmons coaching methods class that taught us how to deal with that, and not many people like it, but it's you can't change it. So what do they say about the 90% of what happens to you is not as important as the 10% of what you do about it. So you can't change things, so you try to deal with it, and that's where we are right now, just trying to figure out how to deal with what we've been given. But I'm not a big fan of it. Having said that, I have benefited greatly from the transfer portal. I've got some great athletes from different schools that have helped me tremendously. Still waiting to be able to compete in the circle area when it comes to transfers. That costs a lot more money because those are your high dollar transfers right there.
Right.
that's where it's different, I guess, is the teams that are able to purchase the best pitching. In our sport, pitching so important. They're going to be the most successful.
Well, you mentioned that, Coach, and you alluded to squads that maybe go out and buy themselves into relevancy, and I'd say the Big 12 has one of those, a little northwest of you guys. From Waco, where you go out and get one of the best pitchers in the entire nation at Texas Tech. By the way, Texas Tech returned no innings pitched from last year. And by the way, you see those guys coming up this weekend. But I'm look, you in today's day and age, right? How do you then go about, as you mentioned, trying to be competitive, especially with that pitching staff, especially because those are the ones that have the high demand?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I have the exact answer for you. I know what puts my mind at ease with this is the good Lord still sends us 20, 25 players that He wants us to raise and mentor and guide, and we get out and work as hard as we can with the resources we have and do the best we can. But when all's said and done, we've got a set roster that we've got to not only train how to compete on the field, but also prepare for life. And our motto is preparing champions for life. So no matter who we have and the talent level that we have, and we've certainly got a good little bit of talent, we've got to do our due diligence in making sure that these athletes, and knowing that they've sent us for a purpose, that are prepared for life. And and being at Baylor, I'm a Christian man and want to guide them in that area as well. So making sure they're prepared spiritually for life as well. So that's what we do, and we're going to work hard. It does get frustrating whenever you feel like you can recruit in every area except for the high dollar offers, but that's not what amateur sports were supposed to be about, in my opinion. A lot of arguments to that, I guess, but again, I'm an old guy that's been coaching a long time, and it's hard to teach a old dog new tricks.
Let's talk about obviously your history with Northwestern State, and do your players know? Like, is this something you talk to them about? Like, what's special about this? Do you just treat it as another midweek road game? How do you approach a game like this?
Oh, no, they know this is a special place. This is a lot of ties. Brittany's and she's a Hall of Famer here. Pitched at LSU for me and pitched LSU to a World Series, and we just went to the Hall of Fame and looked at her name up there on the screen and celebrated a little bit more of that. My wife, of course, is here and was just inducted into the Northwestern State Hall of Fame. Of course, you've said my son's here. I played here, and a lot of family here. They've heard a lot about Northwestern before we even get here. I get on the mic and do what kind of tour guiding I can around here. Still tell them about the Steel Magnolias, the Man in the Moon, the movies, and just Louisiana Purchase, little history stuff. That's all important to me, and I make sure they know where they are. And we're walking. They're all walking down Front Street and on the river right now. I'm watching them walk by, and just they know this is a place that's near and dear to our hearts, and they enjoy it with us. So very, very, very aware of where we come from.
Do you feed them meat pies? Like what? I know y'all are, you're usually on a pretty strict regimen in terms of pregame meals and all that stuff. Can you get into, go take them back on 2nd Street and just show them Laziones? Like, can you get them fed something really good? How do you work that with also being able to make sure they're not going to show up with a belly full of meat pies ready to play?
Well, one of the reasons why they love to come to Louisiana is I am strict about their nutrition and what they eat and what they drink and how they take care of their bodies. But they know when we come to Louisiana, all bets are off, and they get to order the etouffee. And in the morning before we head out after we play, we're headed to Beaumont, Texas. We're going to have breakfast at Lazione's, and they're going to get some of them their first taste of a Lazione meat pie. So I just feel a little guilty, Patrick, whenever I'm over there eating all that stuff and they're having to eat healthy. So I let them go this week.
Yeah, look, as you should, as you absolutely should. Yeah. And the cool thing is the Northwestern State ties continue when you head to Beaumont. Former Northwestern State assistant coach Amy Hooks and former Northwestern State shortstop Tara McKinney are the coaching staff in Beaumont. So Old Home Week gets to continue for you. One last thing, Coach, and obviously appreciate your time. the idea of being able to stay connected, right? You know, we're in such a world where everyone is connected at the drop of a hat, but we're not, you know, people are buried in their phones, right? Especially kids. They're always, you know, doing something on their phones. They're texting, Snapchat, whatever. How nice is it for you? You just mentioned, right? You got the team down on Front Street, and I'm sure they're walking down by the river, and they're getting to enjoy one of the most beautiful downtowns that you'll ever find anywhere in the world.
Right.
How much fun is that for you to be able to allow them to have those experiences that, you know, they can't find in a phone?
Well, it's important for us as we've already stated, bringing my wife back home and coming over where Ty is. All that's important to us, but it is about them. And I love history. I like them to know a little bit about where they are. No matter where we go, we're going to do our best to experience the culture and the history of that place. I think to me, that's what the part of the educational process through sports should be about. It's not all about going out and winning ball games. I'm very competitive, and that's important, rightfully so. But being able to experience a place. What a shame for our team to come to Natchitoches, Louisiana, and not know that it's the oldest in the Louisiana Purchase.
Mm-hmm.
What a shame to not be able to walk down the street here and hear about Steel Magnolias or the Christmas Festival or opportunity to go into the oldest general store in Louisiana Purchase and Kathy Fredericks or things like that. So we're going to make sure they put their phones down a little bit and enjoy where they are so that they can get a little bit of an education that travel gives them through their abilities.
Now, it's going to be a lot of fun tonight. I'll have the call on ESPN Plus at 6 o'clock. Looking forward to catching up with you, Coach. And got to say, it's awesome to have teams that are willing to do this. I mean, I know how near and dear Natchitoches is to you and your family. But even then, that doesn't mean you have to bring your softball team to Natchitoches to play a game. So it is really cool that you're willing to do that, and certainly looking forward to tonight.
Well, always appreciate you and all you do for Natchitoches and Northwestern State. And we love you, man, and just keep doing what you're doing, and it's an honor to be on your show.
Appreciate it. That is Glenn Moore, the head softball coach at Baylor University.